Hey, welcome back to Politically Disengaged by Damon Cortez, and I'm Damon Cortez. So today, of course, I want to get into talking about the Democratic debate that happened last night, December 19th. But first, I want to talk about Donald Glover, Andrew Yang endorsement. Now, Donald Glover, as we know, he's known in movies and music he goes by Childish Gambino. He won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for the show Atlanta, 2 Golden Globes.
Support from somebody who I didn't think you'd ever get the support of. I didn't think any politician would. Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, a hip-hop legend. He comes out, he doesn't come out for Cory Booker, doesn't come out for Kamala Harris, doesn't come out for Obama's guy Biden, comes out for you, and more are coming. There's something that's beginning to shift around you. How did you get Childish Gambino on the Yang gang?
You stole my question.
Go ahead. We know you got.
No, this was a thrill for me because I'm a huge Donald Glover fan. I was like, no way.
That's crazy.
Someone on his team reached out to an agent that we knew in common, and then they said, hey, next time you're in LA, Donald wants to sit down with you. And we talked about our concerns and vision for the future. And we found that we were very, very aligned. And then from there, we talked about different ways to collaborate. And I am thrilled to be working with someone who sees the future as clearly as Donald does.
Yeah, you're starting to steal from different parts of the Democratic Party coalition, moderates, young blacks, and others. I just think that I'm proud to see that you're starting to prove with a smaller stage, you can get your argument across.
Also starred in the Star Wars movie, which I'm going to show a clip now.
Nobody's in the seat that I ain't taking from. So this is Sabak?
Sabak.
Sabak. Got it.
You played before?
A couple times, yeah.
Captain Lando Calrissian. Han Solo.
Looks like you're having a good day.
I'm a lucky guy.
So at this pop-up event that Donald Glover and Andrew Yang hosted in Los Angeles, the line was long. They said the line was all the way around the block. The merch was nice merch. And also, Glover has become Andrew Yang's creative consultant on the campaign itself. Now, that's major. Andrew Yang's campaign to the next level. Have people also take him a little bit more serious. So let's get into talking about the 6th Democratic debate that happened last night. Some few winners, a few losers. I'm not going to talk about everybody. I'm going to show you a clip of a few highlights of some of the other candidates, and then we're going to view all of Yang's performance, and then we can chat about that, and then a little bit of commentary.
Impact of that. You leave 2 cents with the billionaires, they're not eating more pizzas.
It is not an issue of relocating people in towns. The issue now is whether we save the planet for our children and our grandchildren.
The reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent.
So while you can dismiss committee hearings, I think this experience worked.
Before we go into Andrew Yang's performance, let's talk about the Yang media blackout, where he has been left off of countless graphics and news reports, and how just the media has not been paying him any attention. So we were hoping this time that he would finally get the attention that he deserved. And although he was the lowest in speaking time, he still got a little bit longer than he normally does, and I think he blew it out the park.
Americans can't agree on impeachment. We're getting our news from different sources, and it's making it hard for us even to agree on basic facts. Congressional approval rating last I checked was something like 17%, and Americans don't trust the media networks to tell them the truth. The media networks didn't do us any favors by missing the reason why Donald Trump became our president in the first place. If you turn on cable network news today, you would think he's our president because of some combination of Russia, racism, Facebook, Hillary Clinton, and emails all mixed together. But Americans around the country know different. We blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were primarily based in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri. I just left Iowa. We blasted 40,000 manufacturing jobs there. The more we act like Donald Trump is the cause of all of our problems, the more Americans lose trust that we can actually see what's going on in our communities and solve those problems. What we have to do is we have to stop being obsessed over impeachment, which unfortunately strikes many Americans like a ball game where you know what the score is going to be, and start actually digging in and solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place. We have to take every opportunity to present a new positive vision for the country, a new way forward to help beat him in 2020, because make no mistake, he'll be there at the ballot box for us to defeat.
He said he's focusing on the actual solutions that got Donald Trump elected. While the other candidates are mainly focused on Donald Trump, Yang is focusing on the actual problems.
GDP and corporate profits are at record highs in America today. Also at record highs, depression, financial insecurity, student loan debt, even suicides and drug overdoses. It has gotten so bad that our life expectancy as a country has declined for the last 3 years because suicides and drug overdoses have overtaken vehicle deaths for the first time in American history. The fact is, this unemployment rate and GDP have very little relationship with people's lived experience on the ground. If you're a recent college graduate, you have a 40% chance of doing a job that doesn't require a college degree. That doesn't show up in the headline unemployment rate, nor does all of the families that are working 2 or 3 jobs to get by.
Human-centered capitalism. That's what Yang is talking about. GDP, unemployment rate, and stock market prices are not the way that we should be measuring how successful our society is. And Andrew Yang has brought this idea to the forefront that we should be measuring success on the things that we actually care about. Now for that one, I'll be doing more later on. I'll do an episode about human-centered capitalism and the American scorecard.
Your energy. Well, first, we should obviously be paying to relocate Americans away from places that are hit by climate change. We're already doing it. We relocated a town in Louisiana that became uninhabitable because the sea levels rose. And we know that town is not alone. That's playing out in coastal areas around the country. The question is, do you leave that town on its own to fend for itself, or do you come together as a country and say, we need to protect our people from climate change? Part of my plan is literally called Move People to Higher Ground, because that's what we need to do. And that's literal and figurative. Here in California, it's forest fires and forest management. On nuclear power, I agree with the research. We need to have everything on the table in a crisis situation, which this is. Other countries have had success with nuclear power, and the next generation thorium reactors have a wealth of potential. Thorium is not radioactive the way uranium is. It doesn't last as long, and you can't make a weapon out of it. If we're going to innovate our way out of this, as Elizabeth is saying, then we have to have nuclear on the table.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.
Again, Andrew Yang has done his homework. He's saying that we can't completely cancel out nuclear if it's another way to get to cleaner energy faster and dumping the fossil fuels quicker. So do your research like Mr. Yang.
Mr. Yang, I want to switch topics to you, Mr. Yang. A new question. The Democratic Party relies on Black, Hispanic, and Asian voters, but you are the only candidate of color on the stage tonight, and the entire field remains overwhelmingly white. What message do you think this sends to voters of color?
It's both an honor and disappointment to be the lone candidate of color on the stage tonight. I miss Kamala, I miss Cory, though I think Cory will be back. I grew up the son of immigrants, and I had many racial epithets used against me as a kid. But Black and Latinos have something much more powerful working against them than words. They have numbers. The average net worth of a black household is only 10% that of a white household. For Latinos, it's 12%. If you're a black woman, you're 320% more likely to die from complications in childbirth. These are the numbers that define race in our country. And the question is, why am I the lone candidate of color on this stage? Fewer than 5% of Americans donate to political campaigns. You know what you need to donate to political campaigns? Disposable income. The way we fix this is we take Martin Luther King's message of a guaranteed minimum income, a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month for all Americans. I guarantee if we had a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month, I would not be the only candidate of color on this stage tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Yang and then Senator Klobuchar.
I have family in Hong Kong. I spent 4 months there, and seeing what's happening on the streets, it's shocking. They banned face masks in Hong Kong. Why? Because they have AI technology that now is using facial recognition to identify protesters if they so much as do anything on the street, so they can follow up with them and detain them later. This is the rivalry that we have to win where China's concerned. They're in the process of leapfrogging us in AI because they have more data than we do, and their government is subsidizing it to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. I have sat with our leading technologists, and they say they cannot match the Chinese resources. China just produced its first major smartphone that does not have Google apps, and it is now trying to export its technology to the rest of the world. What we have to do is build an international coalition to set technology standards, and then you can bring the Chinese to the table in a very real way, because this is their top priority, and this is where we need to outcompete them and win.
Senator Klobuchar.
21st century solutions for 21st century problem.
Mr. Yang, we have a question here from a professor right here at Loyola Marymount. There are nearly 200,000 DACA recipients, so-called dreamers, in the state of California, more than any other state, including several students right here at LMU. If you win and you reinstate DACA through executive action, another president could just overturn it again. So will you move on a permanent legislative fix for dreamers in your first 100 days if elected?
Of course I would. I'm the son of immigrants myself, and I know that dreamers are essentially Americans in everything but this legal classification. I just want to return to this conversation because I think it's core. Our country is deeply misogynist, and most all of us know that. Money and men are tied together. That's where I thought Elizabeth was taking the conversation. The fact is, strong societies would elect more female leaders. Strong men treat women well for the same reasons. I'm on the record saying that you need both strong men and female leaders in government, because the fact is, if you get too many men alone and leave us alone for a while, we kind of become morons. So it's related to our campaign finance rules, because right now the fact is we operate in a fundamentally anti-woman marketplace. And that includes the marketplace for politicians. If we were to put 100 democracy dollars into the hands of every American voter, instead of 5% contributing, you'd see that rate skyrocket to 50 or 60%, and you'd have many, many more women who would run for office because they don't have to go shake the money tree in the wine cave.
Thank you, Mr. Could I address? I'd like to follow up. The question again, Mr. Yang, was about dreamers. You pledged to move on a permanent legislative fix in your first 100 days. Dreamers say that they are frustrated by Democrats' failure to prioritize their status in deal after deal. So why should dreamers trust Democrats now?
I believe everyone on this stage would do the right thing by dreamers in the first 100 days. I would make it a top priority. I'm the son of immigrants myself. The fact is, almost half of Fortune 500 companies were started by an immigrant or children of immigrants. Immigrants make our country stronger and more dynamic. And immigrants are being scapegoated for issues they have absolutely nothing to do with. If you go to the factory in Michigan, it's not wall-to-wall immigrants, it's wall-to-wall robot arms and machines. We have to send the opposite message of this administration. And as your president, I think I could send a very clear message where if you are considering immigrating to this country and I'm the president, you would realize my son or daughter can become president of the United States. That's the opposite of the current administration, and that's the message I would love to send to the world.
Thank you, Mr.
outline specific steps that the government should take to help integrate these young people into the workforce and into their local communities?
I would love it. I have a son with special needs. And to me, special needs is the new normal in this country. How many of you all have a family member or friend or neighbor with special needs or autism? If you look around, most hands went up. The fact is, right now, we have to do more for Kyle. Special needs children are going to become special needs adults in many cases. And here's the challenge. We go to employers and say, hey, this special needs person can be a contributor in your workplace, which may be correct, but that's not the point. We have to stop confusing economic value and human value. We have to be able to say to our kids and Kyle that you have intrinsic value because you're an American and you're a human being. We're going to put a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month in everyone's hands, which is going to help families around the country adapt. And then we're going to take this burden off of the communities and off of the schools who do not have the resources to support kids like my son and make it a federal priority, not a local one, so they're not robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Thank you, Mr.
Is there someone else among these candidates that you have two options. One, a candidate from whom you would ask forgiveness for something maybe that was said tonight or another time, or a candidate to whom you would like to give a gift. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Yang.
Wow.
We could do a labor action and just all go on strike on this one, Andrew.
I don't think I have much to ask forgiveness for. You all can correct me on this. In terms of a gift, Elizabeth has done me the honor of starting to read my book. Yes. I would love to give each of you a copy of my book. It's about how we're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, the fourth industrial revolution. It is grinding up our communities, and DC is out to lunch on this. Our media organizations are not covering it adequately. I wrote a book on it, and if you like data, this book is for you. This goes for the people at home too, if you like data and books.
And amazingly, now you go on Amazon, his book is sold out until December 27th.
Now it's time for closing statements. Mr. Yang.
I know what you're thinking, America. How am I still on this stage with them? Our campaign is growing all the time because we are laser focused on solving the real problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place. I spent 7 years helping create thousands of jobs in Detroit, Baltimore, New Orleans, and other cities, serving as an ambassador of entrepreneurship under President Obama. And I saw firsthand what many of you already know. Our country is falling apart. Our senior citizens are working until the day they die. Our kids are addicted to smartphones or drugs. We're seeing record high levels of depression, suicides, overdoses. Our companies are recording record profits while our people are literally dying younger. Our way of life is changing faster than ever, and the simple fact is this: our politicians in DC succeed whether we the people succeed or fail. Washington, DC today is the richest city in our country. What do they produce? Bad decisions? We need to get the money out of DC and into your hands, the hands of the American people. Join us at yang2020.com and help us rewrite the rules of the 20th century economy to work for us.
And that has been Yang's core message from the beginning. Let's put the power right back into the hands of the people, not the corporations, not the DC lobbyists. We need to put the power and money back into communities and build the nation from the bottom up, the trickle up economy. Of course, I have a few clips of commentary, some people's reactions, and also some good reporting from Crystal Ball, who, from the Rising.
Yang had a phenomenal night last night and really reminded us all of why he is so special and why he has done so well in this race, outlasting governors, outlasting senators, outlasting members of Congress. And that is because he is really the truth teller. I am sure going into last night, the last person that Mayor Pete thought he was going to be relentlessly mocked and destroyed by was Andrew Yang, but yet he was there with the cutting and memorable remark about shaking the money tree in the wine cave. Absolutely love that. And look, it's not just because we have our critiques of Mayor Pete here, but he needs to show that he's a fighter. And I think in that moment you saw the way that Andrew Yang would prosecute the case and potentially go after a Donald Trump. To stop confusing economic value for human value. That is the central message of his campaign. And that, in a nutshell, is why he has outlasted so many people. It's really that simple. It's not necessarily about the freedom dividend. It's not necessarily about the fact that he's an outsider. It's that he puts at the center of his campaign the idea that every human being is worthy.
Jobs and have no health insurance. And I have a heart problem. And I have a special needs sister and 70-year-old parents who aren't going to live forever. This isn't a game to me. You know, I've buried a friend this week. I've buried so many people over the last few years. There's good odds that somebody in this room isn't going to live to the next election. I'm tired of the horse race. I'm tired of who's up, who's down while people die. This is supposed to be a great country. It's not. Not anymore.
And that does what for who you support?
Andrew Yang's the only candidate who's actually putting something forward that might have some sort of a positive impact on my life. So he's talking about specifics. Everybody else is talking about feelings and ideas, and wouldn't it be nice if we could do that?
The debate, the questions were about impeachment. And I spent time with you in Iowa last month. You mentioned this to me there, and you said it again now, and it's even more relevant, and that is the Democrats are spending way too much time on impeachment. Now that the president has been impeached and it's heading to the Senate for a trial, do you still feel that way?
I've been campaigning nonstop since we spent time together in Iowa. I can't even remember anyone asking me a question about impeachment. Right. Americans are not focused on this in the same way that the networks are. And to me, there's just a crucial number of 0. That's the number of Republicans that have signaled that they're going to cross party lines, and you need 20 in the Senate. So until that number becomes greater than 0, unfortunately, this does seem like a foregone conclusion.
And do you still think it's hurting your party and whomever the candidate who goes up against Trump will be?
I was disappointed that I seem to have the lone difference of opinion up there, where everyone else was signaling impeachment. And when I talk to Americans, a lot of them are saying, look, I don't care as much about impeachment as the fact that I'm choosing between my drugs and my heating oil, or that my kid is depressed. Like, those are the issues that voters tell me that they're focused on, rightfully so.
But you say you said you have to stop being obsessed, was the word you used, obsessed over impeachment. Is that the media you're saying is obsessed over impeachment? I mean, this is the president of the United States who was impeached yesterday by the House.
It's okay, they can take it.
No,
yeah, you can, you know.
Well, you can't blame a TV network for saying impeachment is is like the news of the day, like all the time.
Sure.
Like, it is historic. As a candidate running for president, I need to be talking about things that are different from impeachment.
Do you think it will affect votes of moderates who might vote Republican, might vote Democrat? I mean, do you see it affecting?
What I see it doing is reinforcing polarization, and it's also a missed opportunity for candidates to present a unifying vision to the country that can peel off people who are independents or disaffected Trump voters.
So Andrew, you're making a marketing argument, and you're making, and it's a sensible one. But what do you do? I mean, there's a constitutional argument as well. And do you not pursue sort of blatant violations of the Constitution and the oath of office if there's not a interest among them in the market for it? I mean, where do you draw the line? How do you make those judgments?
I am pro-impeachment. I think that Nancy Pelosi did the right thing by moving it forward. I would say that I would be much more excited about impeachment if they'd managed to wrangle a Republican or two before they decided to leave the station, because it is a very poor message to the country where you have virtually all the Democrats on one side and virtually all the Republicans on the other. But I agree that Democrats do the right thing by moving forward.
Look, a lot of people are talking about impeachment. Nobody's talking about artificial intelligence and the actual national security threat that China's move in that direction poses. Nobody's talking about putting real cash in people's pockets. People talk about jobs. People got a bunch of jobs. They ain't got no money. You are somebody who's brought completely fresh thinking because you're so future focused, but you also have this grip on America's history as well. And you're starting to move. Why do you think you've been able to survive? You have now outlasted governors, senators, billionaires, people in the House of Representatives, people who are household names are not on that stage. You're on the stage. Why?
I think because we're having a conversation that Americans recognize as the truth of what's happened in their communities. We blasted away 40,000 manufacturing jobs in Iowa alone, and then Iowa went to Trump by 8 points. And this is playing out now on main streets around the country where Amazon is closing 30% of our stores and malls, and being a retail clerk is the most common job in these communities. I've had the same message the entire time, and it's broken through to the American people that these are the real problems and we have real solutions.
All right, so that's the end of episode 2, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the debate. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. Visit yang2020.com if you want to get to know more about Andrew Yang. And thank you for watching.